I'm not normally a big documentary guy, but I had to see this movie. Won't You Be My Neighbor is the story of Fred Rogers and his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. This movie explores Fred Rogers as a person, as well as the themes behind the show and the more very deep layered stuff that goes on, and how Mr. Rogers was really the first of his kind when it comes to, and really ahead of his time when it comes to teaching the youth about real issues and not putting on a show or playing with little action figures or blowing up stuff on the screen. He felt that was nonsense and he wanted to get real with the children. I wasn't a big Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood fan. I don't think really it was sort of starting to devolve by the time I was born, and I feel like I wasn't really, I was born in 99 and the show ended in like 2001-ish, I believe, and it was sort of, I always knew what it was though, and I knew who Fred Rogers was, and when I saw this movie, I needed to learn about him. I wanted to know who he was and why he did the things he did, and I just feel like the movie really taught me a lot of things about this guy and how to be a better person. Honestly, I felt like this movie really just kind of was like just a happy movie, but also a very tragic one, because it makes you think like we really have learned nothing from this guy, because this guy poured his heart and soul into his art, into his show, and he had these puppets and all this stuff, but what he was exploring was much more deep than and more personal than something like a little puppet talking to you. It was much, the themes that he was using, it was a really brilliant tactic to entice the kids with puppets and imagery that's very childish and imaginative, but what he was talking about with the actors and all the people on the show were real issues like segregation, like the pool bit that you've seen in the trailer with the African American guy, Mr. Rogers, or Officer Clemens, and Mr. Rogers in the pool together, because at that time black people and white people weren't allowed to swim together, and they were throwing chemicals in pools and kicking black people out of the pools. That was a statement that he made, and he did an episode on JFK's assassination. Like, you just get very, like, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, wow, like, you don't see that happen anymore. Like, you really don't see kid shows exploring themes like this. Mr. Rogers was that dude that really kind of taught everybody, and it just made me wish, like, if there was a Mr. Rogers now, where would we be as messed up? Maybe that's really what I'm trying to say. I really don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. I think it would be interesting to think about, because what if he were still here? What would happen if in a 2018 landscape with Mr. Rogers teaching everybody things? I can't imagine that, and I'm sure you can't either, but I don't even know where he'd begin, to be honest, because there's a lot of shit that he needs to kind of sit us down and be like, what is this? What is social media? Why are we attacking people on there? I feel like would he just give up? That's the sad reality. Would he just be like, you know what, I don't know how to tackle this, so I'm just going to give up? Because, and even toward the end, you see in the movie, I'm not going to give any spoilers because it's real life, but like, he was getting jaded. He was like, nobody's listening to me, like, this is dumb. You just kind of see that in the final episodes, and it breaks your heart, and it's just like, it's tough to watch. So yeah, this documentary, it is a ray of sunshine, but it's also very tragic at times, and you really get to learn about Mr. Rogers as a person, and I wish I saw a little bit more of his upbringing, unfortunately, but you know what, that's literally my only, like, I wish I saw that. But otherwise, this movie's really flawless, and I feel like we've already seen the best documentary winner for the year at the Oscars. It's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Why Won't You Be My Neighbor? It is a great movie. I highly recommend seeing it. If you haven't already, everybody's seen this movie. It is blowing up. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen, one of the only documentaries I've seen, because I really don't go out of my way to see documentaries, but I just knew this one was different, and I'm happy to say that it is, because I really love this movie, and I highly recommend seeing it. So if you've seen Won't You Be My Neighbor, comment down below and let me know what you thought of it, and let's have a discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.